I am going to run this before I have explained anything at all. This cell and this one. That line is a human brain. That is the medial part of default mode network in one person laying inside an MRI scanner, watching a short animated film. Every wiggle is that piece of cortex getting more active and then less active. Each step along the bottom is 2 seconds of their life. They are a real person. The person who ran that study put the data online for anyone to download, and it took my laptop about a second to fetch it. 5 lines of code, and 5 lines is roughly where you will be about 40 minutes into this course. Hi, there are 12 of these, around 10 to 20 minutes each, and by the last one, we download real brain imaging data, build a network out of it, and test an actual hypothesis about how brains change between childhood and adulthood. One honest thing before we start. I'm a student myself. I spend most of my week debugging my own analysis scripts and being wrong about why they broke. So this is not a lecture from a podium. This is me showing you the thing I wish someone had shown me 3 years earlier. Let's talk about why this is worth 10 to 20 minutes of your time. What neuroscience data actually is, here is what nobody quite tells you as an undergraduate. Almost every question you can ask about the brain ends up as numbers in a file. Record from single neurons and you get spike times, a list of moments when a cell fired. Record EEG or electroencephalography and you get voltage. 64 channels of it, sampled maybe 500 times a second. For as long as your participant can sit still, of course. Scan someone and you get a picture of the whole brain every couple of seconds, with about 100,000 little cubes in each one. Build the connectome and you get a grid. Every region against every other region, with a number in each cell saying how much they move together. 4 completely different looking things. All of them are numbers in a file. And that's good news because one set of scales opens all 4. Now, the part that decides whether you need to code now actually, scale. A neuropixels probe is a silicon shank you slide into a brain. It records from 384 channels, 30,000 seconds times a second. Work that through and you're writing well over like a gigabyte to disk every minute. Open a gigabyte in Excel, go on. I'm being slightly unfair because plenty of excellent neuroscience runs at smaller scales, but even a modest experiment outgrows a spreadsheet fast. 20 participants, 200 trials each, a few measures per trial, and you're already somewhere that doing it by hand means doing it wrong. Somewhere and never finding out where you have gone wrong. There's a second reason, and I think it's the better one. 6 months from now, somebody will ask about like how you got a particular number in your own thesis. If your analysis was clicking through menus, just cell by cell in an Excel spreadsheet, for example, you cannot answer, or that would actually take lots of time. If it was a script, you run the script, and that's it. This is not tidiness. That is the difference between work that can be checked and work that cannot. What actually happens in those 5 lines? All we have here, these 5 lines I'm discussing. Let's look at what ran, without me actually teaching anything of it yet. The first line brings pandas. Easy, right? Which handles the tables. The second line brings the matplotlib, which draws. Now, The third one, basically what it does is that reads the data. The fourth plots, what it does is that it plots one column of it. If you're not meant to understand the syntax, you're meant to notice there are 4 moving parts that each has a name, and within a few sessions you will actually know all 4 of them and do it yourself like easily. The other thing to notice is where the data came from. I did not email anybody, no application form, no login, no institutional agreement. It's a public dataset. And there are thousands more sitting on places like OpenNeuro, while people assume you need your own scanner to do neuroscience. You do not. You need this. Why Python and not something else, basically? Fair question. MATLAB is still everywhere in this field, and plenty of serious labs still run on it. Tools like SPM, EEG Lab, Field Trip, real tools and not going anywhere. So Python first, because it's free. Not free with a student license that dies in a week or so when you graduate. Free permanently for everyone, including someone whose university cannot afford a site license, like mine. That matters more than it sounds like it does. Second, look at this. That's a rough count of well-known open neuroscience toolboxes grouped by language you write them in. It's an illustrative rather than a formal survey, so please do not cite it in a paper. Let's look at it here. MNI, MNE, or basically called for EEG, and MEG, NILEARN or NILEARN, depending on how you pronounce it, for fMRI, Brain2, and NEST or NEST for simulating spiking networks, Spike interface for extracellular recording, and DPI or DIPI for diffusion imaging. And the point is not that one bar is taller than the other. It is that whatever you need, whatever you end up working on, someone has already written a package, a well-maintained, thousands of professionals contributing to it. Someone has already written that package in that scale and professionally. It costs nothing, and you can open it up and read exactly what it does on your data. That's the concept of open source. There are no closed doors behind what is being run, what is the algorithm. Try that with software you cannot see inside. Yeah, try MATLAB please, and see how much the license actually costs. Third point here, the practical one. Python is not a neuroscience language. It's the language of machine learning, automation, of a large slice of software industry. So what you learn here is not trapped inside this field. Basically, if you leave academia someday, like me, I had to pay my bills while I was studying. If you leave academia, maybe that's the choice, of course, and many people do. It comes with you. Getting it running, which takes like 10 seconds, basically. All you have to do is open up Colab. You need nothing, no installation, no admin rights on lab machine, no negotiation with any IT person. You just go to colab.research.google.com, sign in with a Google account, all free, click on new notebook, done. You have the Python in your browser with standard scientific packages already installed, running on Google's machines for free. Every notebook in this course has a button on GitHub repo that opens it directly in Colab. All you do is click it, and you are looking at exactly what I'm looking at right now. If you would rather work locally, you can basically install Anaconda and launch a Jupyter from it. Same notebooks, same code, do whichever you actually, it gets you writing sooner. So, that would be it. Just a quick map. So you know what you are actually signing up for. Session 1 to 4, it's about Python itself. I will discuss variables, decisions, loops, functions, and how to hold data properly. Every example comes from Neuroscience, starting with the first line. Sessions 5 to 7 are scientific stack, like NumPy for arrays, pandas for tables, and plotting done properly rather than by accident. Sessions 8 to 10 are where it starts feeling like a real job. we will be pulling a signal out of noise, statistics done honestly, including a p-value actually, like what the p-value actually says and what it does not. Then brain networks and turning a correlation matrix into a graph you can measure. Session 11 and 12 are capstone. We download an open fMRI or functional magnetic resonance imaging dataset of children and adults watching a film. We reduce it with a brain atlas, build a connectivity network for each of the 50 people, and compare the two groups. And we find something. Literally, the default mode network is more tightly coordinated in adults than in children. Spoiler alert, of course. But it is well published. With a large effect. This is not a teaching example, I invented it. It's a well replicated developmental finding and you will reproduce it yourself in 15 lines of code on data anybody can download. You do not need to have programmed before. If you have open the spreadsheet, you have the prerequisites. Nothing else. That's session 1. Nothing to install, nothing to buy, and no reason to wait. Everything on GitHub, and the link to the GitHub repository is in the comments section. Several sessions are already up, so you do not have to wait for the next one either. Open session 2, hit the Colab button, and write your first line of Python next to me. See you there.